Hello and welcome back to Silica Valley. Great to see you again. The video today is all about the ham. Look at this thing. Now, I received this a couple of days ago. I bought it online from Amazon, and this is an Iberico Spanish ham. I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to get my teeth into it. So the idea with one of these is you buy a big one. This is 5 kilograms. You buy a big one, and then you keep it in one of these stands here. And with the stand you can carve from it over a period of about a month, and it'll stay good all that time. So really excited, it's Christmas, we're going to have a Spanish ham. That's fantastic. So a couple of little pointers about buying your ham. This one, as I say, I got from Amazon, and there's really 3 things you need to watch out for when you're buying your ham. The first is the breed of pig, and the gold standard for Spanish ham is Iberico. I thought this was Iberico ham when I bought it. I actually thought I'd caught a bit of a bargain with the price. But when it arrived and I read the label, I saw that it said 50% Iberico. So one of its 2 parents was an Iberico pig. So that's one thing to look out for. Make sure you know what you're buying. If you wanted 100% Iberico, which is going to be more expensive, of course, make sure you look for that. The second thing to look out for is the age of the ham. Now, I know that this has been aged for a minimum of 18 months, hung, and the longer it hangs, the more moisture escapes, the denser the flavour, and the more intense. And the fat changes over time as well. But so this was 18 months. That has a big effect on the price. You can get them 24, 36, 48. I've even seen them 5 years aged. And just every time the price goes up. So watch out for the breed, watch out for the age, how long it's been aged for. And the third thing is, Iberico ham is known for being acorn fed. The best versions of this ham are pigs which have been acorn fed for the last 3 months of their life. Now, when I bought this, it said acorns in the description and kind of charmed me into buying it. But actually the description said that they roam freely in open spaces where there are oak trees and they can feed on acorns. That's a different statement to being acorn fed for the last 3 months of their life. So watch out for those 3 things and just make sure you know what you're getting. But nonetheless, really excited. I bought a smaller ham a few years ago, about 3 years ago, from the local supermarket. It was one of these package deals where you get the ham, you get a stand of some kind, and you are hiding behind the ham here, and you also get a knife. Well, this was £117 just for the ham. I bought the stand separately, and I already had some knives. So I'm hoping for a really big upgrade in the quality of the ham with this. I'm very excited to try it. That one from a few years ago, that was £30 for all of that. So I'm expecting at £117 just for the meat, this to be a great deal better. So without any further ado, let's get it opened. I'm going to open it now, and then I'm going to let it rest for a couple of days while it acclimatizes. That's the advice I've read online. And then I'll finish this video off by getting it carved and started. All right, so let's open it up. Enjoy some nice music while I do this. there it is. That looks very different to the last one that I had. I can immediately tell that the colour's very different. The fat is a very different colour. It's a lot more yellow. It just looks like it's got age. Got kind of a musky smell, not very strong. It looks absolutely amazing. It's quite intimidating to look at, actually. Yeah. So there it is. Okay, so I'm going to leave this for a couple of days. When I come back to it, I'm going to be using 3 types of knife to prepare it. There are 3 main areas on the ham. There's this one, there's another one here, and there's one underneath. And so you kind of rotate it over time. But the first thing to do in a couple of days' time is just to get the first level of fat off there. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and I'll see you in 2 days. Well, here we are. It's a couple of days later. This has been sat in my bar because it's very cool in the bar. It's one of the coolest rooms in the house, actually. So it's been sat in there for 2 days, acclimatising. I've been doing a bit more research, and it turns out that there's sort of one temperature for storing the ham and a different temperature for eating the ham. So what my intention is to take off a portion today. So I've got to prepare it. I've got to take off quite a bit of this fat here and give myself a nice level cutting area. By the way, this is, I'm taking this quite seriously, but I'm not expecting to do very well. So bear with. So I've got to take off quite a bit of fat and get myself a nice flat area, and then take off small credit card sized slices if I can. It depends what it's like underneath, of course. So I'm going to be using a number of different knives to do this, which I'll talk about in a minute. I've got myself a San Miguel, so cheers. And I guess I could begin. First thing I want to just mention is that when I received this, and you saw me unwrap it a few moments ago, what I didn't realise is that there's a lot of external wet fat on the thing. So I think what I'm going to do first, just going to give it a good rub down. The other thing worth mentioning is that down here, in this part here, when I put it on the spike that's at the bottom here, within a couple of hours it was leaking fat. That was drizzling down, so I had to put some kitchen towel underneath here to stop it going onto the bar. But I was just a bit surprised by that, if you know what I mean. So I don't know what that means. It did stop after a while. Yeah, so just watch out for that, because if you put it on a nice clean surface and it leaks over, that wouldn't be very good, would it? So I'm going to start by removing the top bit. I've been watching a lot of online videos, and the advice is that when you're preparing the ham, I'm going to make a deep incision right here shortly. When you're preparing the ham and taking the rind off, use a nice stiff knife. But when you're going around the bones, because there's bones here and there's another one under there, and I think there's one here as well. When you're going around those, you use one of these knives, like a fillet knife type of thing. But when you're actually taking the slices off, you use something like this. Now, this isn't the standard sort of Spanish knife. I'm not sure what they're called. This is an old one that I've had for a long time. They're called salmon slicers here usually. But the requirement is a long, flexible blade that's nice and sharp. Now, I've got this as sharp as I can, but I'm going to see how that does. What I'm expecting to be better is my global. That's very sharp indeed. So yeah, I'm going to try all these knives out anyway. So, wish me luck. So the first thing to do is to take a deep cut here. I'll do it from the other side, I think. No, I'm going to clean it off first, actually. Sorry. I'm going to clean it off first. So there's a lot of wet. There's a lot of wet on the outside, is what I noticed. So I'm just going to take quite a lot of that off. I did take some off the other day, but I'm just going to make sure there's no... The fat's really yellow. I don't know why that is. It seems a odd colour for it. But I'm just going to make sure there's not too much sort of residue on the outside, because if there's a load of residue on the outside, it's going to make it quite messy when you're carving it as well. So all I'm doing here is on the underside here. It's just giving it a good wipe, basically. You can see there's little bits at the bottom there, can't you? Just get all that horrible stuff off. I'm really excited about trying this. Now I'm getting a good feel of it. It feels quite firm and hard. That bit in particular feels hard on this side. Over the other side, it gives quite a bit. So I'm not sure entirely what that means. Okay, well, I think that'll do. So what I've, from a storage point of view, they recommend that you keep some of the fat that you take off to put on the exposed surface for use later. Right, so my hands are dry. So I'm excited but a little bit nervous, if I'm honest. So we're going to take a nice deep cut right here. Oh, well, that's a bone. Now, I was recommended that you have this hoof side, the bottom of the hoof, up first, but I can immediately see that I'm not going to be cutting there, am I? So I will cut here. There you go, that's what makes sense. So they say a nice deep cut there. So I'm going to take that down there. Ooh. Take a notch out. Well, that was quite handy because it actually gives me a good view of where the meat is as well. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, put that in there. And then you start taking the rind off. So I'll start on the top. So the yellow rind, the absolute exterior, is really rancid, apparently. I'm going to keep these, like I mentioned. I'm going to use them to put over the meat when it's not in use. And I've noticed straight away there's some meat right here. And so I'm going to take a bit more fat off here. So actually I'll just draw a line here that I'm going to be working toward. Well, nobody said it was going to be easy, but just taking the outside stuff off. You can see why these Spanish specialists, make it look so easy online. I mean, I want to do as neat a job as possible, of course. Just take a bit of that off. With that, I think. Right, so step 2, actually taking some slices. Now, the technique is to go straight and end up with a very straight surface. So I'm going to begin with the repurposed knife. I've had this for years. but never used it properly. So in fact, let's just take a bit more of that fat off there. Okay, so I'm going to begin here, and my aim is to continue taking slices off until this starts to level out. So I'm going to start at the highest point. And the trick is to take the slightest of slices. So I've seen this in all the videos. They don't use their fingers, they use some tweezers to get the actual meat off. So I'm going to do that. Just keeping it level. You see there's still a lot of fat on here. Probably won't eat these pieces. I'm just attempting to get myself a nice flat surface so that the meat will start to reveal itself shortly, I think. And like I say, the aim is to take tiny little, not tiny, but certainly big, probably bigger than that, pieces off at a time. Right, here we go. So what you should be able to do is when you've taken your slice, you should be able to see your knife through it. Can you see my knife? See my knife through it? I can see it from this side if I look at it, but can you see it as well? I don't know, that's pretty thin. I'm going to start layering these up now. So you're supposed to pay attention to your plate as well and get yourself a nice, beautifully curated plate of all your favourite bits. I'm just going to do it again. He said be nice and relaxed, take it easy, let the knife do the work kind of thing. Okay, did that. Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, this old knife of mine is actually doing a half decent job, I would say. Oh, that's a bit thick, look at that. Okay, well that is doing a fantastic job. Look at that lovely slice there. Shall I eat it? No, I'll wait. So I'm going to switch knives. I'm going to try the one that I expect to be better. But now that I've done that, I don't know what it is because this doesn't feel sharp. Well, I mean, it is sharp, but it doesn't feel as sharp as the other one. But obviously there's a lot of fat in here, a lot of give. So maybe that's helping things rub along a little. I've just noticed that there's a little rise happening here. So I want to start here now and just get rid of that. Just get that flattened out. Take a few slices. So it actually feels a little bit more tricky to work with the sharper knife, weirdly, because it's sensitive to your every movement. And that is so, oh right, I think that's my first proper, that's how they're meant to look, I think. I think that's the first one I've taken off that looks how it's meant to look. Okay, well, there we are. How did I do? You can see that the cut edge is there. It's nice and flat. Well, it's somewhat flat. But I think you can get the general idea from that. So what do I think? Well, it tastes nice. I was watching a video the other day and they said you had to rub the fat on your lips to see if it's really, really good quality. And like I said in the early portion, the longer it hangs, the more rendered the fat becomes. Well, there is a lot of fat on here. In some of the reviews for this ham, people commented on how fat it was. But the reality is that that's what these legs are. If you're not into the fat, you're not going to have a pleasant experience. Taste-wise, it's definitely got depth. It's not melt in your mouth. That's quite a thick piece, that. And it's beautiful. When you get a bit that hasn't got this hard edge on it, it's absolutely stunning. Really tastes good. Yeah. So trimming and slicing seem to be the rules. I'm just paying attention to where you're up to on the ham. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to find some pieces of fat to cover this portion here. So we'll do that now. Put a little piece inside. Alternative ways of storing it are to put some oil on it and wrap it in cling film. So I'm going to put those on. Like that. Like that. And I'm going to wrap it in cling film. And then I'll put it away and that'll be that. So, yeah, let me know what you think. It's my first ever time really seriously having a go at carving a ham. I'm pleased with the flavour. I'm looking forward to eating this all over Christmas. Yeah. So I left some of those hard edges on, which is not good. But when you get down to the soft stuff, it's absolutely succulent and delicious. So that's it. Okay. Have fun. Enjoy your own Christmas ham, and I'll see you next time at Silica Valley. Thanks for watching.